As formations that present the biggest difficulty, just with all those tight ends and stuff?
Well, their personnel is very good, so I wouldn't say that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is they got some really good players. But their formations and personnel being so drastically different from our own, then obviously it's a big adjustment for us to get ready for them. But being an opening game, we've obviously had a lot more time too. So our players are starting to get a good, comfortable feel for it, getting lined up more quickly and ironing out some of the wrinkles. And I don't think that'll be an issue for us.
How much are these first games about just making adjustments quickly and making the right adjustments? Well,
that's true every game, but I think you do have more of the unexpected when you talk about opening ball games. And sometimes it's the unexpected. Your players haven't played together, and sometimes we do something wrong and have to get it fixed real quickly. Or it may be something the opponent shows you that you haven't seen. Because obviously, everybody's had more time to prepare and put in any kind of tricks or wrinkles or different things.
Their running game, do they do it differently than other people do?
Well, there's a lot of people who do this style of running game, but there are not many in the SEC anymore. If you go back 15, 20 years, there were a lot of people who were more like Arkansas, but it's kind of with the trend, a lot more people are running a spread attitude, a mobile quarterback, and zone read options and all that type of thing, more three wides on the field constantly. And now they're there, and sometimes they got one wide or maybe two, and big tight ends and fullbacks. So it's an adjustment, as we said earlier, from the standpoint of lining up, and it's an adjustment from the standpoint of the complexion of the offense.
Ellis, is there an update on Robinson Parisi and whether or not he'll be able to go?
The coach said the depth chart will come out Tuesday, and I really don't have anything on any personnel issues. I'd have to leave that up to him.
Where does Trey Williams kind of fit in at linebacker right now, Ellis?
Doing a good job. I'm going to be careful on the very first ball game, being an SEC opponent in a 100-degree heat factor and about 80-something thousand people. I'm going to err on the side of the veterans. But I'd say right now he's kind of, I'd grade him out. He's proven to be about the fourth best linebacker I got. And the other three in front of him have played in SEC football games before. So until things kind of get flowing, we get into the game, I'm going to make sure that he knows what's going on out there before I'm going to put a true freshman in that environment.
Does he play middle most of the time?
He's playing Will backer.
Who would be that third guy? Is it Hobby?
Right now it's Swain.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you've got McKenzie, Frost, and Swain have all played in SEC football games, and I'd rather go with the experience, especially early in the game, and then we'll see how it goes.
How quickly was he able to kind of work back into being that third guy? When we talked to Gus at the beginning of the fall, he's at the end of the line after missing the spring. So are you somewhat impressed that he got moved back up that quickly?
Not really. Chris's issue was not anything to do with football. I'm not going to get into what it was. But when he came back, we hadn't changed much. We were still running just about the same thing. Probably had a couple of things we adjusted in the spring. But his level of experience was just so much greater than the rest of them because he's older and he's played in SEC football competition. He got that amount of experience, and it was just hard for any of the rest of them to catch him. Been very pleased, though. I was pleased with Deshaun Davis before he got hurt, but he just got too far behind with the hamstring. And real pleased with Trey Williams. They both came in as freshmen, very impressive. And all the rest of the guys have had a good camp. It was more of who had the best camp than who didn't have a very good camp. Last year it was kind of like who didn't do very well. Let's make sure we don't put them out there. This year it was who had the best camp, and really I thought Trey was in the top four performers.
Did Cameron Toney take sort of a step back, or what happened with him this
Who's that?
fall? Cameron Toney?
No, Cameron had a good camp too. And I thought Trey had a better camp than the others. Kenny Flowers has been here a while, Javier, all those guys, Cameron. But Trey had two really good scrimmages, very good production, picked up the scheme pretty quickly. He just seemed real comfortable out there, but as I said, I'm going to be a little cautious about throwing him in that environment first ball game until I see how it goes.
Last we spoke to you, you said that Rudy had kind of taken over at boundary safety over Derek Moncrief. Is that still the case, or is Derek back on top? Or how's that?
He's a little bit in front of Derek, and you'll see both of them play it quite a bit.
Ellis, how did the guys respond after having the weekend to, kind of a couple of days to kind of get back? How did they respond back to that? Right?
It was good. I think it was more about being game week than having that day off. We've had some days off over the previous 8 days. I think we've had 2 or 3 days off. But you can kind of tell they were getting tired of preparing for whoever it was going to be, that ghost opponent down the road. They're finally going to get to play somebody this weekend, a real opponent. And And it just, you know, it's just human nature. They're much more excited and much more tuned in and much more alert and ready to play somebody. And the preparation seems to be a little better.
How have Devereaux and Devontae responded after their injuries, and how do you see them mixing in week one?
They're doing pretty well. Devereaux's missed more time than Devontae, and for that reason, he's further behind. But they're both in the mix now. They're both getting about, I'd say, at least half of the second team reps. And they're coming along. I mean, obviously those practices they missed hurt them in their progress toward learning our system and our scheme and all the things that Rodney teaches up front. But they, you know, I think they'll help us this year, and how soon they have an impact, you know, time will tell.
Devontae on the left side behind Elijah, or is he?
He moves them around quite a bit, but right now that'd be where he would be penciled in.
Who's your starting defensive tackle right now?
I would say Rodney right now would go with Whitaker and Blackson. But it's almost lineman by committee. You know, we've got about 8 or 9 guys there, and some of them have obviously had better performances and have more experience. But I don't think he's got any concern about putting any one of 9 guys on the field right now.
How about them?
Where does that leave Gabe? Is Gabe working inside, outside?
Both. Still doing
And how about Montrevious State?
Montrevious been a little bit more outside now. He's as far as base defense, he's playing outside at defensive end. And we're working him inside on third down quite a bit.
Ellis, when you look at last year's meeting with these guys, especially the first half, I mean, they had more than 2-to-1 time of possession. Defense clearly, I mean, you guys were getting pretty winded later on. How much can you take from that, and how much, having said that, be prepared this time around for a team that really likes to hold on to possession and try to dominate possession as much as they can?
They did a great job. I thought our biggest issue last year, and it was partly our guys playing in the first year in the system, and then the unorthodox formations, and we got misaligned and misadjusted, missing tackles. But I thought they did an excellent job. They had 2 big turnovers in the first quarter. We got them off the field with turnovers. We had a big goal line stand. So we went in at halftime. I don't think they'd have 3 points, but you didn't feel comfortable about the way you were playing. So we got a little bit of it cleaned up at halftime, but I thought they still did an excellent job of running the football on us at times. We were terrible on third down, and they had not been a good third down team, and we'd been a great third down team, but we didn't play well on third down that day. But kept a lot of points off the board, but I thought we played very spotty. And the biggest thing, and we've harped on it with our players, to play well against these guys, you got to get lined up right, you got to get adjusted to all the formations, you got to fit the run, and you got to tackle well, because they got backs that really run hard.
I don't know if you mentioned Trey Williams. What other true freshmen have a chance to play in that first game?
You know, right now, I think probably there'll be several of them. I wouldn't go out on a limb right now and say that any others are definitely going to play. To be honest with you, I don't know anybody else who definitely will play.
Rashad Kenyon or
a lot of those guys could play depending on the complexion of the game. Defensive backs, all of them. If it's a tight ball game, it's going to be hard to put them on the field right now. Front guys right now, I don't see anybody breaking in the top 8 or 9 unless the ball game gets to the point where we have an opportunity to play them.
Have you already discussed the plan for Jonathan and when he might come in the game?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I don't know all the details on all of that.
But there is a plan at least? Or?
I have no idea.
Who's been repping though at the field corner mainly? I mean, you're looking to play Jones there and Halsey on the boundary, or?
Yep. We kind of got into about 4 or 5 days ago. We moved Halsey and Mincy to the boundary. We had a good rotation there, and Halsey backing Mincy up, and then Trevon Reed has moved over. He's backing up Jonesy at the field corner.
Ellis, I mean, you've been around the conference for a long time, and you at least opened when you were at Mississippi State with LSU back in 07. Does it feel, differently, like compared to last year opening with a conference opponent, or when you've been around so long, does it kind of feel like it's just another game?
I don't like it, because I think it's so unpredictable to open games, but hey, that's the way it is. There are a lot of teams opening up with a conference opponent. If I could pick the schedule, I'd rather open up with an out-of-conference.
Ellis, you say
Billy, last year, though, comparing last year and this year, it was about, we had no clue who we were last year. We just didn't know what to expect. I thought our guys went out and played their hearts out. We made a lot of mistakes. We did some great things. It was a good opening ball game. This year, everybody knows what we're doing. It's been much more comfortable in the system. We know what they can do, what they can't do. We just have a better feel for our football team right now. So that makes it more comfortable. But Arkansas is a really good opponent. Their record last year, they had 2 or 3 close losses toward the end of the season where they probably should have won some ball games. And we certainly didn't play well enough last year against them to feel like we're that much better than they are. It's going to be a tough opponent.
Ellis, you're talking about my Travis again. There's been a lot more talk about Gabe playing outside, but he's more in than tackle right now.
Well, Gabe's still double learning, and we've kind of settled mine outside a little bit more so he can learn it as a younger player. But he'll play inside. He would play inside if we had to, and he'll play inside on third down.
Will Gabe start at some position?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel sure he will.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Good.
Thank you, Ellis.